You ever get slapped in the face by your own past so hard it knocks the soul out of you? Yeah? Well, you're about to watch a man walk straight into a cafe and have his whole damn life body slammed when he sees his ex-wife with a baby that's a carbon copy of him. I'm talking jaw-dropped, brain-melting, what the actual hell levels of shock. Stick around, this story is about to rip your emotions to shreds in the best and worst way possible. Before we dive headfirst into this beautiful train wreck, let us know where you're tuning in from. Slap your location in the comments, and don't forget to smash that like button harder than life just smashed this dude. Now, buckle up, crack open a cold one if you must, and let's hit it. The autumn air rolled through Portland like it had beef with the trees, throwing red and gold leaves into chaotic little tornadoes. Luke, Mr. Always on Time, Mr. Business Consultant Extraordinaire, was late for a client meeting, something that usually only happened if the world was ending. At 35, he was a machine. Precise, polished, predictable. Corner office at Meridian Consulting? Check. Fancy-ass client list? Double check. But today, he was scrambling because his regular caffeine pit stop was shut down for renovations, leaving him jittery, under-caffeinated, and basically one bad email away from a full mental breakdown. With 20 minutes left to find salvation in a cup, he spotted it, a cozy little joint called the Morning Brew, looking warm and glowy against the gloomy October sky like some caffeine-charged lighthouse. Without a second thought, he bolted across traffic like Frogger and yanked the door open. Instantly, the smell hit him. Freshly ground coffee beans, sugary baked goodness, and that faint background hum of people pretending their lives weren't falling apart. Perfect. Luke got in line, half scrolling through work emails, half rehearsing the corporate garbage he had to spew in his meeting. Second in line, he finally glanced up at the menu board. And that's when the universe drop-kicked him. Behind the counter, slinging lattes like it was just another Tuesday, stood Sarah, his ex-wife. Yeah, that's Sarah. Chestnut hair pulled into a lazy ponytail instead of her old bougie updos. New freckles peppered her nose marks from sunny days he hadn't been around to see. Luke's brain short-circuited. He froze up so hard you'd think someone hit him with a stun gun. Options flashed in his mind. Run? Play dead? Start screaming? Before he could even blink, she turned slightly, grabbing a to-go cup, and yep, it was 1000% her. Same heart-shaped face, same little dimple in her left cheek that used to drive him nuts. Luke barely noticed the rest of the cafe anymore until something else blindsided him like a rogue semi-truck. Over in a little family corner was a playpen. And inside, a tiny human, maybe 18 months old, babbling like life was nothing but rainbows and snack time. Some older woman, another employee, probably was nearby, wiping tables and keeping half an eye on the kid. Luke stared. Dark hair sticking up in front, the exact same messy style he had when he needed a haircut. Then the toddler turned and laughed, and Luke's stomach hit the floor. Those eyes. His eyes. Not kinda like his. Not sorta similar. We're talking cloned from his DNA level. Same weird green shade, same almondy shape. Those stupidly long lashes he used to get roasted for as a kid. It was like a tiny, wobbly version of himself had been dropped into this hipster cafe. The realization hit him so hard he had to grab the counter to stay upright. That kid, that beautiful, giggling mini-human, was his. "Sir, excuse me, sir?" someone behind him said, snapping him out of his emotional nosedive. "The line's moving." Luke mumbled an apology and stumbled forward like a drunk deer. And suddenly, bam, he was face to face with Sarah, who was looking down at the register like nothing insane was happening. "Welcome to the Morning Brew. What can I get you today?" she chirped. Then she looked up. If the first eye contact didn't kill him, her reaction nearly finished the job. She froze. Smile, gone. Face, ghost white. Pen, dropped it like it was on fire. For a second, a long, gut-punching nuclear blast second, they just stared at each other, drowning in 3 years' worth of unsaid apologies, regrets, and what-ifs. Finally, she squeaked out, "Luke, what? How did you?" Then clammed up, her eyes darting to the playpen like a flashing neon sign that screamed, You're a dad, dumbass. Luke, desperate for even a shred of normalcy, blurted, "Just needed coffee." His voice cracked somewhere between casual and mental breakdown. "My usual place is closed." He grabbed the nearest menu board like it was a shield that could somehow block the emotional shrapnel detonating around him. In his panic, he backpedaled right into another customer, sending hot coffee splashing all over their shoes. Great. Perfect. 10/10 performance, Luke. Totally crushing it. He scrambled for napkins, yanking out the whole damn stack like a magician failing at a trick. Luckily, the customer laughed it off. But Luke, his cool professional image was officially a smoking crater. "Maybe you should sit down," Sarah said, her voice soft but steady, nodding toward an empty table. "Nancy can cover the register." Nancy, the older woman, was already gliding over, eyes full of suspicious "I know drama when I smell it" energy. "I'll bring you a coffee," Sarah added, not quite meeting his gaze. "Still, black with 1 sugar?" That tiny memory hit Luke harder than a freight train. She still remembered. 3 years apart, still remembered. He just nodded, muted and broken, and stumbled over to the table she pointed at, choosing a spot where he could keep an eye on both her and the toddler. "Noah," he corrected himself automatically. "If that's his name." Luke's mind started racing, piecing timelines together like a conspiracy theorist with a corkboard. The math checked out. The final ugly months of their marriage, the late-night arguments, the bittersweet makeups, the desperate clinging to something already slipping away. Why hadn't she told him? How the hell could she not tell him? Sarah appeared with the coffee, sliding it across the table like a peace offering. Then she sat down. Deep breath. "His name is Noah," she said quietly, voice trembling at the edges. "He's 16 months old." Her fingers traced nervous circles on the tabletop. "And yes, Luke, he's yours." Boom. Confirmation. No sugarcoating, no warm-up. Just a goddamn gut punch straight to the soul. Luke felt the betrayal crack open inside him, bleeding anger, confusion, and an aching primal longing for the boy now happily stacking blocks a few feet away. "How could you not tell me?" he finally growled, voice low and shaking. "What gave you the right to keep my son from me?" Sarah flinched, but didn't back down. The old fire was still there in her eyes, the same stubbornness that had first drawn him in and eventually driven them apart. "I tried," she said. "Luke, I tried. When I found out I was pregnant, you were already in Singapore, halfway around the damn world, chasing everything you'd ever wanted." Luke stared at her, the memories rushing back in ugly technicolor, the career he'd chased, the marriage he'd left bleeding out on the kitchen floor of their dreams. "I called," she went on, voice low and furious. 3 times. First time, your assistant said you were in meetings. Second time, you were in Hong Kong. Third time, you actually answered, but you were too hyped about some new account, talking about extending your stay another 6 months, and I couldn't do it, Luke. I couldn't tell you about a baby over the phone when you clearly didn't even miss us." The words hit him like steel-toed boots, and ugly truth laced through them. "You could have tried harder," he snapped before he could stop himself. "An email, a text, something, Sarah. Jesus Christ, this isn't like forgetting to mention you got bangs. This is my son." As if on cue, little Noah looked up at that exact moment, locked eyes with Luke, and gave him a wide, innocent grin, waving his chubby little hand. Luke's anger cracked, just like that. He waved back, shell-shocked and gutted, and watched as Sarah's face softened, the anger melting into something sadder. "He's friendly with everyone," she said, almost like she was warning Luke not to get his hopes up too high. Then she added, voice shaking but determined, "My shift ends at 3. If you want, we can talk more. There's a park nearby." Luke didn't even hesitate. "I'll clear my schedule," he said, and meant it for the first damn time in years. There are moments in life when something inside you snaps not in a punch-a-wall way, but in a "holy shit, I'm not who I thought I was" way. Holding his son, Luke felt it. A fierce, primitive protectiveness that steamrolled every spreadsheet, promotion, and shiny corporate goal he ever thought mattered. It was wild, It was terrifying. It was beautiful. And it absolutely wrecked him. The rest of the afternoon felt like Luke was tripping through someone else's dream. Noah's world was simple. Ants carrying crumbs? Fascinating. Swing sets? Comme de gold. Bubbles? God's greatest invention. Luke pushed him gently on the swings, every giggle stabbing his heart in the best possible way. He watched Noah lose his tiny mind over a trail of ants shouting, "Bug! Bug!" so excitedly that nearby parents started smiling at Luke like he was raising a future entomologist. When Sarah pulled out a bottle of bubbles, Noah chased them with Olympic-level dedication, his chubby arms slapping the air in hilarious, semi-successful attempts to catch them. Through it all, Luke watched Noah with this wonder he didn't even know he was capable of, and Sarah too, realizing for the first time just how much he had missed. She was patient, fully present, tuned into every laugh and whimper. And damn it if it didn't make him painfully aware of how many nights during their marriage he had been present physically, but a million miles away mentally, buried in work emails and PowerPoints. Eventually, Noah's internal battery started dying. He rubbed his eyes, got fussy, and Sarah called snack time like some tiny general giving orders. They crashed at a picnic table, where she whipped out apple slices and cheese cubes like a magician pulling rabbits from hats. "Want to try feeding him?" she offered, dangling a plastic container like a dare. Fair warning, sharing, at his age, sometimes means cramming food directly into your mouth without warning. Luke took the container like it was a live grenade. Noah stared up at him with those big, familiar green eyes, his own eyes filled with innocent curiosity. "Hey, Noah," Luke said, voice weirdly shaky, as he held out an apple slice. "Hungry, buddy?" To Luke's amazement, Noah lunged forward, grabbed the apple, and chomped it with a happy om-nom sound. 1 second later, Noah yanked another slice out and shoved it directly at Luke's face like, "Eat, peasant." Luke opened his mouth obediently, because what are you gonna do? Say no to a tiny dictator? The slice mostly made it into Luke's mouth. Part of it slapped his cheek, but Noah howled with laughter, like Luke had just invented slapstick comedy. Luke, desperate to make the sound happen again, grabbed 3 apple slices and tried to juggle them because, college party tricks don't die, they just wait for moments like this. Predictably, it went sideways fast. One slice shot straight into the duck pond, summoning an army of quacking ducks like some low-budget Disney movie. Noah absolutely lost it, bouncing up and down on Sarah's lap, giggling so hard he almost toppled over. "Do gain! Do gain!" Noah shrieked his first direct command to Luke, and it hit like a bullet to the heart. Sarah watched with a look so complicated it could have written a whole novel. Happiness, regret, bittersweet ache. "He likes you," she said quietly. "He doesn't usually warm up to strangers." That word strangers hit Luke like a brick to the face. He shouldn't have been a stranger to his own flesh and blood. "Sarah," he said, because they couldn't keep dancing around the black hole between them. "We need to talk. About Noah? About arrangements?" He saw her tense immediately, pulling invisible armor around herself. "I'm not here to fight," he added fast. "I'm not taking you to court or demanding anything. I want to be part of his life. Not like a weekend warrior, really part of it." Before Sarah could answer, Noah decided the conversation needed comic relief and grabbed Luke's nose with deadly precision. Luke let out a startled laugh, and even Sarah cracked a smile. "I know," she said softly, "and you're right. He deserves to have his father." She hesitated, then added, "Maybe we could keep talking tonight? After he's asleep? My place?" Luke agreed before she even finished the sentence. 7:30? She offered, a little wary. "I can have him down by 7. "I'll bring dinner," Luke said. "Still like that Thai place on Maple." Sarah's smile, a real one this time, was answer enough. "You remember." He remembered a hell of a lot more than Thai food. He remembered how she used to tuck her hair behind her ear when thinking, how she cheated by reading the last page of every book first, an offense he still considered a personal betrayal. How her laugh sometimes broke into this totally unguarded snort when something really caught her off guard. And now, he realized, he was remembering all the things he missed, not just about her, but about the life they could have had. Sarah's apartment was tiny, squeezed over the café like an afterthought, but it was warm, lived in, toys packed neatly into bins. Photos of Noah everywhere, documenting the milestones Luke had missed. First smile, first crawl, first everything. A pang stabbed him in the chest. In some pictures, Noah wore t-shirts from Dinosaur Adventures, the cheesy kids show Luke had loved when he was a kid. The genetics weren't subtle. Sarah emerged from down the hall, smiling tiredly. "He went down easy," she said. "Park wore him out." They sat at a little table, eating Thai food in a silence that was weirdly comfortable and devastating at the same time. Finally, Luke said it. "Why the cafe, Sarah? You were killing it in marketing. You were unstoppable." She sighed, poking her noodles around. "Life happened," she said simply. "You remember I quit Mitchell and Associates' toxic VP drama?" Luke nodded grimly. That final fight was burned into his brain. "Try getting hired while visibly pregnant," she added, voice flat. "And once Noah was born, forget daycare. It costs more than what a junior marketing job even pays. Nancy offered me flexibility, a roof, a chance to be with him." She said it so matter-of-factly, it made Luke feel like an oblivious, privileged idiot. He had been globe-trotting while she fought daily wars just to survive. "I would have helped," Luke said hoarsely. "I know," Sarah replied. "And honestly, that's part of why I didn't tell you. I didn't want Noah to become a transaction. I didn't want our lives to be a monthly bank transfer and scheduled visits. I needed to prove I could do it, that I wasn't broken, just because everything else fell apart." Her brutal honesty hit him harder than any accusation could. Luke remembered meeting her, the bold woman who challenged a guest speaker at a marketing conference, fearless and bright. "You're not broken," he said quietly. "You're amazing. Noah's happy, thriving, because of you." Sarah blinked fast, fighting tears. "Thank you. That means more than you know." She cleared her throat, regaining her usual sharpness. "So, what now, Luke? What's your plan?" Luke didn't even hesitate. "I want to be his father. Full-time. Not just weekends. Not a visitor. I want to co-parent. To be in his life every single day." Sarah studied him carefully, like she was checking if he was real. "In theory," she said. "But in reality, you still live the same life that didn't have space for a family 3 years ago. No accusation, just cold facts." Luke took a breath. "Things change. I can change." He knew how that sounded, like another shiny promise, but he meant it. Sarah looked skeptical. "Change isn't a button you push, Luke. It's messy, hard. Most people don't survive it." Before he could argue, a wail echoed from down the hall. Noah was awake and not happy about it. Sarah started to rise, but Luke stopped her. "Can I?" She hesitated, then nodded. "First door. Nightlights on. Pacifier's a dinosaur, probably under the blanket." Luke walked into Noah's room, and there he was, red-eyed, confused, but not scared. Luke knelt beside the crib, heart hammering. "Hey, buddy," he whispered. "You woke up, huh?" Noah raised his arms. Luke, terrified he'd screw it up, lifted him gently. Noah snuggled in instantly, resting his head on Luke's chest like it was the most natural thing in the world. Luke found the dinosaur pacifier, gave it to him, and started rocking slowly, feeling Noah's small body relax against him. "It's okay," Luke whispered, cradling him tighter. "Dad's here now." The word felt right. It felt like coming home. When Noah drifted back to sleep, Luke tucked him back in with heartbreaking tenderness and stood there, just watching. When he finally emerged, Sarah was waiting in the hallway, eyes soft, no walls up. "You're a natural," she said, leading him back to the living room. Luke settled onto the couch, exhausted but sure of one thing. "I don't want to be a stranger to him, Sarah. I want all of it. The chaos, the heart attacks, the dinosaur emergencies." Sarah gave a tired little laugh, full of history and warning. "Parenting isn't a business deal, Luke. You can't just optimize it." "I know," he said, "but I'm ready to be here. For real." Before either could get too deep, they heard a crash from the kitchen. They rushed over and there was Noah, sitting triumphantly in a puddle of pots and pans, wielding a wooden spoon like a conquering hero. Sarah groaned. He figured out how to climb out. I was hoping we'd have more time. Luke just laughed. He couldn't stop. Together, they tried to clean up and failed, because Noah thought it was a game to undo everything they did. Welcome to toddlerhood, Sarah said dryly. And somehow, that felt like an invitation, a chance to be part of the madness, the beauty, the life he never even realized he wanted. Later, when Noah was finally down again, and Sarah was sunk into the couch, Luke said it, raw and honest. I want all of it, not just fatherhood, maybe us too, eventually. Sarah didn't jump at the offer. She didn't kiss him, but she didn't shut him down either. I can be open, she said, voice soft, to possibilities. Sarah finally conceded but laid down the law like a badass queen. We move slow, boundaries first. Figure out how you're actually going to be part of Noah's daily life before we even think about dragging romance back into this beautiful dumpster fire. She didn't finish the sentence, but Luke could read it like a billboard. Don't you dare screw this up again. That's fair, Luke agreed, feeling a weird surge of relief that she hadn't shot him down completely. We focus on Noah, stability first, everything else. Whatever happens after, happens later. With that landmine diffused, for now, they dove into the practical details. Noah's nap times, snack obsessions, favorite songs, favorite books, and most critically which stuffed animal, Triceratops, had veto power over bedtime. Midnight crept up on them like a thief. Finally, Luke got up reluctantly, knowing damn well Noah would be summoning the sun at the crack of dawn whether or not the adults got any sleep. At the door, Luke hesitated, words clumsy in his mouth. Thank you, he said lowly, for today, for letting me meet him, for not slamming the door in my face when you had every right to. Sarah nodded, exhausted but peaceful. He deserves to have you in his life. And honestly, I always thought you'd be a good dad, if you chose to be. The if you chose part stung, but Luke knew she wasn't wrong. And this time, he was choosing, with everything he had. I'm choosing now, he said firmly. Tomorrow, if it's okay, I'll take him to the park. Give you some time to yourself? Sarah's face actually lit up with a real unguarded smile. That sounds incredible. Just be warned. He's a diva about the slides. And he might make you push the same truck around a sandbox for an hour straight. Luke chuckled. Diva standards noted. Good night, Luke, Sarah said softly, and somehow the simple farewell carried the weight of their whole tangled history. Luke grinned back. Good night, Sarah. See you tomorrow. And just like that, the first day of the rest of his life was underway. The next 3 months felt like someone had taken Luke's neatly organized, workaholic life and lovingly beat it with a baseball bat. And he loved it. He went full beast mode into fatherhood, rescheduling meetings, dodging overnight flights, handing off tasks to his team like hot potatoes. His colleagues were stunned. Luke, Mr. Corporate machines suddenly had boundaries. And guess what? Luke didn't give a rat's ass what they thought. Every free second was spent with Noah, reading books, building questionable towers out of blocks, navigating tantrums like an underqualified hostage negotiator. Within weeks, Noah was calling him Da, and if you think Luke didn't cry like a little punk the first time he heard it, you're wrong. He learned all the quirks. Banana slices had to be coins, not strips, God forbid. Nap time demanded tops, the Triceratops, and every tiny tantrum was its own new hellscape puzzle to solve. But Luke loved it every chaotic, exhausting, beautiful second. Meanwhile, his relationship with Sarah shifted cautiously but steadily. They shared dinners, yoga mornings where Luke babysat, while Sarah reclaimed a piece of her sanity, working from the café some afternoons just so he could peek in on Noah. The tension between them thinned, replaced by a wary partnership, and occasionally, something warmer flickered under the surface. Luke started noticing things he'd missed the first time around. Sarah's insane creativity, her absolute grit, the way she smiled now softer, fuller, like she was proud of the life she was building. And Sarah saw him too, really saw him. The way he put Noah first, the way he showed up without making it about himself. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Then came the rainy Tuesday, and life, like it always does, threw another curveball straight at their faces. Luke walked into the café and immediately knew something was wrong. Sarah was at the counter, whispering urgently to Nancy, both looking like someone had kicked their puppy. "Luke, thank God you're here," Sarah said, eyes wide with panic. Nancy patted her shoulder and discreetly noped out of the conversation, giving them space. Sarah dropped the bomb. "The building's been sold. They're kicking us out. Cafe's closing in 60 days. Apartment too." Luke's mind instantly went into fixer overdrive. Buy the building. Pay whatever it takes. Slap some money on the problem till it behaves. But he stopped himself. Sarah's pride was part of her DNA. He couldn't bulldoze her independence just because he had a fat wallet. Instead, he asked the magic words, "What are you thinking?" Sarah ran a frustrated hand through her hair. "I don't know yet. Nancy's looking for a new space, but rent's a nightmare. And me? Finding another affordable place where I can work and keep Noah with me? Might as well hunt unicorns." Luke thought fast. "What about your freelance marketing? You said it's growing." Sarah nodded but winced. "Yeah, slowly. Maybe in another year it'll cover everything." Translation: nowhere near fast enough. Luke took a deep breath, choosing his words carefully. "I might know someone. Real estate connection. Owes me a favor." She could help Nancy find a new spot, maybe something with a unit upstairs again. Sarah blinked, surprised. Then, and this crushed him a little, she looked suspicious, like she was bracing for him to swoop in and fix everything his way. But when she realized he was offering help, not control, her whole posture softened. "You'd do that?" she asked, voice small. Luke didn't even flinch. "Of course. Noah needs stability. And honestly, so do you. So do we all." For the first time since that first brutal meeting at the cafe, Sarah reached out and squeezed his hand, briefly, fiercely. "Thank you," she whispered. Luke got to work immediately, pulling strings he wouldn't normally touch for clients. Within days, he found a gem. A charming corner property 6 blocks away, cafe downstairs, apartment upstairs, affordable, safe, perfect. When he told Sarah over dinner, he expected excitement. Instead, she looked at him strangely, studying him, measuring him. "You've changed," she said finally. Luke froze, Thai food halfway to his mouth. "Different how?" Sarah set her napkin down, deadly serious. "The old Luke would have just bought the damn building, paid off the owner, set me up like a charity case. Efficient, impressive, totally tone deaf." Luke winced because, yeah, old him 100% would have done that. "But this you," she continued, voice soft, "asked me what I needed, connected us to solutions without making me feel like I owed you my soul." Luke swallowed hard. "I'm trying to be better, trying to see better." He glanced at Noah, gleefully smashing mashed potatoes into his dinosaur toy. "Turns out, the best lessons in life come from tiny humans who think high chairs are battlefields." Sarah smiled, a real one, full of something dangerously close to hope. "It suits you," she said simply. Luke cracked a grin. "Well, I had a good teacher." Noah chose that exact moment to shout, "Done!" and nearly catapult himself out of the high chair, sending Luke and Sarah scrambling to catch him. Their laughter messy, chaotic, and right-filled the tiny apartment. Later, with Noah bathed, storied, and miraculously asleep, Sarah dropped another bomb. "If the new cafe works out, maybe we could set up overnight visits, if you're comfortable." Luke had to swallow a lump in his throat before he could nod. "I'd love that. I'm even looking at moving somewhere more family-friendly, somewhere with a real bedroom for Noah, and a park." The implications hit both of them at the same time. Luke wasn't just passing through. He was building around his son. Sarah smiled approvingly. "He talks about you all the time now. The truck, when he sees your SUV. Data work, when he plays with his toy laptop." It was the most backhandedly adorable thing Luke had ever heard. and it carved a space in his heart no amount of career success ever could. That night, they talked for hours about everything: past mistakes, mutual friends, secret dreams they hadn't dared say out loud in years. At the door, they hesitated, the air between them buzzing, heavy with unspoken things. "Thank you," Sarah said softly. "Not just for today, for all of it." Luke didn't overthink. He leaned forward and kissed her cheek light, lingering just enough to say, "I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." "Thank you for letting me," he said back. Sarah's eyes glowed with something warm and terrifyingly real. "Good night, Luke." As he walked to his car, Luke felt lighter than he had in years. The future? Still messy, still scary. But for the first time, it actually looked damn beautiful. The new cafe opened just in time for Noah's second birthday, a double celebration that turned into a block party. Sarah shined, Nancy beamed, Noah toddled around showing off his toys, and Luke realized he was exactly where he was supposed to be. Later, standing side by side behind the counter, Luke looked at Sarah, heart thudding. "You did it," he said simply. Sarah smiled wide, unguarded. "We did it." She wasn't wrong. Over the noise, the laughter, the chaos, Luke realized he wasn't just rebuilding life. He was building home. And this time, he wasn't doing it alone. "We were just kids, really," Sarah said softly, her voice low and honest. "Driven in opposite directions. Too proud to ask for what we needed. Too busy proving something to ever pause and listen." Luke followed her gaze to where Noah was now giggling hysterically as he tried to feed a cookie to Nancy's puppet. The kids' laugh echoed through the cafe like a damn soundtrack to their redemption arc. "Having him, it forced me to slow down," Sarah continued. "To speak up when I need help. To choose connection over pride." Luke nodded. God, he understood. Not just heard it, felt it. "I keep wondering," he said slowly, carefully, "what might be possible now that we've grown up. Learned some lessons, even if we had to learn them the hard way." He didn't say the words, "Could we try again?" He didn't have to. Sarah was quiet for a moment, eyes unreadable. Then, with that familiar, fearless honesty that had always been her signature, she reached out and took his hand, threading her fingers through his like it was the most natural thing in the world. "Maybe," she said gently, "it's time we find out." That single moment, her palm warm in his, the cautious hope in her eyes hit Luke like a freight train of emotion. For once, he didn't analyze it, didn't wrap it in logic. He just felt it, fully. The weeks that followed were slow burn perfection. They didn't rush. Parenting came first always. But the spaces in between, they started to fill with more late-night conversations. Shared dinners that blurred the line between co-parents and something closer. A kiss here, a long look there. Their first real date as the new versions of themselves was at a place they'd never been before. Neutral ground. Just Luke and Sarah. Not exes. Not Noah's parents. Just two people rediscovering what made them fall in love in the first place, but with better lighting, stronger wine, and way more clarity. Noah, meanwhile, leveled up like toddlers do, exploding into full sentences, forming opinions about everything from cereal to socks. Weekends were now about family walks, muddy boots, dandelion wishes, and Luke showing Noah the fine art of puddle stomping. They didn't live together, not yet, but a toothbrush appeared at Sarah's place. A change of clothes landed at Luke's. Inside jokes multiplied. Nancy rolled her eyes daily. "You two are disgusting," she said once, watching them silently communicate via eyebrow language. Like teenagers, but with budgets and actual fashion sense. Luke and Sarah just laughed, because she wasn't wrong. There was something brand new and ancient about this connection, something fresh, built on the bones of something broken and rebuilt. Then, at 2 a.m. on a random Tuesday, the real test arrived. Noah's fever spiked. Panic. Hospital. Chaos. Luke was staying at Sarah's that night, and the emergency yanked out their old habits fast. Sarah researching symptoms like she was applying for a PhD in pediatric viruses. Luke trying to control the uncontrollable. It could have imploded, but instead, it clicked. They moved as a team, stepped on each other's toes. Yeah, but always realigned, always together. By dawn, Noah's fever broke. It was just a virus. He was fine. On the drive home, Noah asleep in his car seat, Sarah reached across the console and grabbed Luke's hand. "Thank you," she said, and those two words carried 1,000 pounds of history. "Thank you for staying, for showing up, for being the dad I hoped you'd be." Late that spring, after another perfect bedtime story and a round of dino snuggles, Luke and Sarah sat on her tiny balcony, wine glasses in hand, the sky turning cotton candy pink around them. "I've been thinking," Luke said, voice nervous in a way that made her eyes lock onto his. "About us. About Noah. About this life. The one we've built over the past year." Sarah's expression stayed open, inviting him to go on. "I know we've been careful, and we needed that, but I'm done being cautious. I want to wake up next to you and Noah every morning. I want us to be us, fully, together." The words hung there, electric and terrifying. Sarah didn't answer right away. Her silence stretched long enough that Luke felt his throat go dry. Had he pushed too far? Then she reached for his hand again, grounding him. "When you walked into that café, I was terrified," she admitted, "not just of what you'd say, but of what it would mean if you stayed." She paused, then added, "I convinced myself our marriage failed because you only wanted success, that I was just another detail in your perfect blueprint life." Luke started to protest, but she placed two fingers gently over his lips. "I was wrong," she said softly. "Maybe not about who we were back then, but definitely about who you are now." Her voice cracked just a little. "You look at Noah like he's a miracle. And sometimes I catch you looking at me that way too, like I'm still worth loving." Luke swallowed the lump rising in his throat. "So, is that a yes?" Sarah laughed, blinking fast. "Yes. It's a yes to building something real, but this time, it has to be different. I need to know that when life gets messy, and it will, we don't fall back into old patterns." "I can't promise perfection," Luke said, "but I swear, you and Noah, you're my everything. The man I used to be, he's gone. The day I held our son, he died. And I don't miss him." Her tears came then, silent, honest. And when she kissed him, it wasn't just passion. It was home. That weekend, they took Noah to see the ocean for the first time. They built sandcastles, laughed like fools, and somewhere between a shell tower and a driftwood moat, Luke realized this. This messy, beautiful, salty moment was success. Later, walking back to the car with a sand-covered, drowsy Noah swinging between them, Sarah glanced at Luke. "Do you ever miss it?" she asked. "The status, the deals, being that guy." Luke didn't dodge. "Sometimes," he admitted. "But then I look at him, and you, and I realize no big deal could ever touch this." Summer came. Sarah's freelance work boomed. Luke found joy in being present. They moved in together, Luke's home becoming their home. Sarah sublet her apartment to Nancy's niece, and suddenly, life clicked. One evening, as Noah chased fireflies, Sarah turned to Luke. "Do you know what day it is?" He smiled. "1 year since I walked into that café." She took his hand, shaking her head in wonder. "If someone had told me that day we'd be here, I would have said they were insane." Luke kissed her knuckles. "I would have believed it. Maybe not the details, but the feeling? Yeah, that hit instantly." Noah ran back, cupping a lightning bug like it was treasure. "Look!" he shouted, eyes glowing as bright as the tiny creature in his hands. They watched him go, this fierce, gentle soul they'd made together, and Sarah spoke again. "I've been thinking, maybe it's time Noah had a sibling." Luke blinked, not shocked, just moved. "I'd love that," he said, eyes stinging. "Whenever you're ready." She smiled bright, certain. "Not tomorrow, but maybe soon. This time we do it together, all in." Later, as Noah finally passed out from chasing bugs, Luke stood with Sarah in the doorway of the home office. "This would make a good nursery," she whispered. He wrapped his arms around her. "Yeah, it really would. Do you ever wonder," she asked, "if your coffee shop hadn't been closed that day?" He smiled, resting his chin against her shoulder. "All the time. But then, I think maybe it was always supposed to happen this way. Maybe we just had to become the right versions of ourselves first." Luke, the man who used to only trust spreadsheets and 5-year plans, nodded. "The long way around," he murmured. "But we made it." Sarah turned and kissed him soft, certain, sacred. "And this time," she whispered against his lips, "we're staying." In a nursery that didn't exist yet. In a home they'd built from fragments of the past. With bookshelves full of their stories and toys littering the floor like confetti, they held each other, silently grateful for the miracle of a closed coffee shop. Because sometimes, the smallest detours rewrite your entire life. So what was your favorite moment in this story? Was it the wild twist when Luke first saw his son? Or the slow burn rebuild of a relationship once thought lost? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to know what moved you. And if this story hit you right in the feels, smash that subscribe button and stay with us for more tales of love, redemption, and second chances. Until next time.